Sahanau bhunaktu Sah viryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. 36, 37 together. Api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakruttamaha sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi yathaidhamsi samiddhognihi bhasmasat kuruterjuna jnanagnis sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Did we see 38th? I don't think so. Okay. So Bhagavan, having elaborated different types of yajna by which our mind will get disciplined, mind will get purified, finally Bhagavan said, none of these actions by themselves will bring about that supreme most state of being which we call as moksha. Said moksha is ever attained, it has to be known, there is no doing involved in moksha. Doing is involved as far as mind is concerned, to make the mind beautiful, make the mind disciplined, make the mind obedient. All of that is part of doing. But when it comes to knowing the truth, there is no action involved. Even while I was feeling I was bound, even at that time, Atma was the same. Atma, pure consciousness, was ever attained. Because of ignorance, I was identifying with mind. Only through knowledge, I can abide back in my own nature as pure consciousness. This point, if you are a traditional teacher or a student of Vedanta, they will hold on to very strongly. So much so that sometimes you might feel they are putting down sadhana, which is not the case. Wherever there is importance of sadhana, sadhana will be elaborated. Sadhana means all the practices that we do. But if somebody gets the thought that because I am doing these practices, that will lead me to liberation, then the perspective is corrected. That moksha is to be understood. It is not product of any action. Yesterday in Kenopanishad class, we were seeing this example. If somebody wants to fall asleep, then he might do several things to fall asleep. Might prepare, they say don't have screen time 2 hours before you sleep. All the lighting he might change, do so many other things to fall asleep. But the moment he has fallen asleep, none of the preparatory steps he can take into his sleep. In fact, if he says he has done it, that means what? He has not fallen asleep. You ask him, are you asleep? And he says, yes. So for a jnani also, asking the question, are you realized? That also is an erroneous statement. The moment he says yes, means something of ahankara has crept in. It is just like asking, a sleeping person, are you asleep? And none of the preparatory steps for sleep can spill over into sleep. Like that, none of the preparatory steps for knowledge can enter knowledge. This part Bhagavan is emphasizing, and he is praising the glory of knowledge. He says, api chedasi papebhyah. If somebody has committed all sorts of erroneous things, even if somebody is like that, if he can decide to walk on the spiritual path, have convictions aligned with scriptures, right now he might be somewhere. He might be in front of some shop. Remember that example? Long line, Siddhivinayak temple. But if his goal is Siddhivinayaka, Bhagavan calls that person as Sadhu Purusha. Not what he is right now, what his convictions are right now. Right now there might be imperfections, there might be so many limitations. On the spiritual path, none of those limitations matter as long as we are striving to change. Sarvebhyah papakruttamaha. All sorts of erroneous things you can imagine that he has done. Gurudev would humorously describe this verse. He would say people who come to the camp that he would conduct, whenever they would listen to Vedanta, in their mind they would say, Swamiji, you don't know who I am. You think because I have come to your camp, I am going to study Vedanta. When I am back in my hometown, you don't know what all things I do. He says, api chedasi papebhyah. Doesn't matter who you are, no matter what limitations we have, if we can make a resolve to change, this is Bhagavan's promise. What is his promise? Sarvam jnana plavenaiva. Sitting on this boat of knowledge, one will cross over all sins. Vrujinam santarishyasi. This we had seen, crossing over sins means crossing over tendency to commit sin. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshitji Maharaj says, Shukdevji, our mind is such, time and again it regrets, but it ends up doing the same mistake over and over again. Example he gives is of Kunjara Shauchavat. Means elephant taking bath in a pond, spends 5 hours taking bath, comes outside, takes all that mud, puts it over. One of our Swamiji would say it's talcum powder, dressing up after that. He says that is how our mind is. Did all sadhana, understood these are the erroneous things, but again it goes back and does the same thing. Second analogy he gives is of Sura Kumbhavat. Sura Kumbha means pot of alcohol. Inside there is smell of alcohol and this person is washing it from outside in holy river. When nothing has changed, whatever is there inside is just the same. He says, like that my mind is, what should I do? So then Shukdevji Maharaj says, this is not true. If you can sincerely take Bhagavan's name, the Nama, Mahima is such, it will cleanse our mind from within. That is the assurance. All we have to do is start somewhere. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. Bhagavan is in a mood to glorify jnanam now. The next shloka also he says, Yathai dhamsi samiddognihi. Just like a well-kindled fire, it can burn the firewood completely. Like that, well-kindled knowledge can burn all our karmas. All our past karmas, which will push us into taking more and more rebirth, all of that will be burnt through knowledge. Jnanagnihi sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. When we meet after 2 weeks, You wonder, did we discuss all these verses? Remember the topic we had seen, how does knowledge burn karma? What was the main point there? Somebody can from back also, you can answer. Huh? Very good. Knowledge negates kartrutva. Knowledge has nothing directly to do with karma. Knowledge removes this notion that I am a doer. Once that doership is negated, all karmas are as though negated. The example is having woken up from dream, all the actions done in dream are burnt away. So one who has woken up from waking state to that absolute state, for him all the actions of waking world are burnt away. Sanchita karma, for time immemorial you have been gathering, that also is removed. In one text by Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he is warning all sadhakas. Before you study Vedanta, make up your mind whether you really want to study it or not. Because once you start studying, whether you want it or not, you will get moksha. Anichannapi muktaha bhavati. If knowledge clearly takes place, he says it is vastu tantra. You cannot decide whether you want moksha or not. If knowledge is really opened up that you are not this doer, there is no more rebirth. This is first you decide if you want it or not. Next verse also is a praise of jnanam, 38th verse. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitramiha vidyate Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhah Kalenatmani Vindati Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitramiha vidyate Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhah Kalenatmani Vindati. Iha means moksha marge. In the shloka, you see that word pavitramiha vidyate. Iha means on the path of moksha. There is nothing more purifying. There is nothing more purer than this knowledge. Knowledge of the self, Atma Vidya. Other than this knowledge, there is nothing more purer than this. Sadrusham means similar to this jnanam. Pavitram na vidyate. There is nothing more which is more purifying than this knowledge, because it removes all impurities, first in the form of ragadvesha, likes and dislikes. Through sadhana that is removed. But the final impurity is ignorance. That's a little subtler form of impurity. Generally what we think is impurity means dirt outside. Right? You have some oil or grease on your clothes. We feel that is the impurity. But when we start inquiring, we realize just like there can be impurity outside, there can be impurity in mind also. That is in the form of likes and dislikes, strong opinions, mind showing some jealousy. So through sadhana, that impurity is removed. The final impurity is in the form of giving reality to duality. To think that there is something other than consciousness, to think that there is ahankara, there is mind, that itself is an impurity. So knowledge is the most purifying because it removes even that impurity. You all must have heard the word anjana. Anjana, right? There are different meanings of anjana. One meaning is maya. So maya itself is considered as one form of impurity. For Atma, we use the word nirmalaha, niranjanaha. Means what? That which is devoid of Maya also. That which is devoid of all impurities, that is Atma. You must have heard Kabir Das Ji's bhajan also. Rama niranjana nyarare, anjana sakala pasarare. It says this anjana, the impurity of duality, it has created all this universe. And Bhagavan Rama is that Shuddha Chaitanya who is niranjana, untainted by any of these impurities. This line you will find it in many organizations as their motto. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram iha vidyate. Many universities will have this. You know, the main thing here is, once Vedanta comes in our life, once we are able to appreciate what this path of knowledge is, it is said we should have reverence for this knowledge and the conviction that if we can hold on to this path, it will take us to our goal. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is we study Vedanta, but inside we feel when it comes to facing our life, Vedanta is not something that is practical enough. Vedanta is not something which I can hold on to go through my life. He says just because you are in minority doesn't mean you should feel afraid of Vedanta. One Mahatma Ji, he would demonstrate this point through an example. I had shared this in our Ishavasya class also. He said there was a farmer. Grew up in a village. His farming he would do. And son, he took very good care, worked very hard, made sure he gets education. Now when this boy was young, ready to go to college, he moves away from that village, goes to the city. Lives there, works hard, Bhagwan's grace, everything is good for him, very successful in his career. But in the midst of all these things which was happening, so busy life, he is unable to visit his hometown. So he says, Father, it's been 25 years now, I have not come back. Why don't you come to the city? I'll make all arrangements, take care of everything, please come. Father says, okay, I will come if you are calling me. Then he's so surprised, to see those tall buildings, all this BART and so many other things around. Metro in India, right? Metro train and everything. And elderly people, they're very, very calculative. So even though his son was so well-to-do, he booked a second-class ticket on the train to come. Unreserved compartment, came over there. While going back also booked the same ticket. Unreserved compartment. He said, why should I spend more to get a reserved ticket? Son said, Father, why do you have to go in this unreserved compartment? I will book another ticket for you. You can comfortably reach your village. The son did not like it, his father going in unreserved, so he brought him a first-class ticket. Now this man sat, whole seat was for him. Whole berth was for him. Bag he put down, everything he put. But go to see in that whole compartment, nobody is there. Generally those first-class compartments, it's pretty empty. Now he started wondering, why is nobody coming here? Sits quietly, train starts moving. Then when he reaches the next station, people are entering the train. They come, see inside, only one man sitting, and they murmur something and go away. And they were saying, oh, this is first class. You cannot enter here, go to the next one. And then he starts feeling that there is something wrong with this compartment. People are coming and going. Something they are saying, this is first class, and they go away. I think something is wrong. So next station, he takes all his bags, fights inside to get into that unreserved compartment, and happily goes and finds one spot in between the birth and sits there like this all the way until his journey. This Mahatma Ji would say, our story is also the same. That elderly person sitting in first class compartment is like sitting in Vedanta Jnanam. The moment you start studying Vedanta, you will be in minority. Everybody will come and say, oh, this is not for us. This knowledge is too high. And they will go and sit somewhere else. This sadhaka, if he is not clear, he will also start feeling, oh, maybe this is not for me. One Swamiji, our Chandrasekhar Bharati Swamiji, Shangiri Swamiji, if anybody came to him and said Vedanta is difficult, he would scold them and send them back. His question would be, what in Vedanta did you find difficult? If you tell me specifics, then we can discuss. Swamiji had written one commentary on Viveka Chudamani. It's in Sanskrit. Every verse Swamiji has explained. Many would come and tell Swamiji that, Swamiji, your commentary is very scholarly, very difficult. Same question he would ask. He said, tell me what you found difficult. And most of the times, the student would not even start reading the commentary. Means he would just see that it is in Sanskrit, it is written by Swamiji, that means it has to be difficult. All of that is the same verse. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram ha vidyate. Not to get intimidated by jnanam. And to remove this thought from our mind that Vedanta is difficult. If somebody feels it is too easy, then for them it is said, think again. Yadi manyase suvedeti, dabhram evapi nunam. Kenopanishad Rishi says, if you think you understood everything, then the same Rishi comes and says, think again. Next line is beautiful. Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhah. That same sadhaka who has gained knowledge. Swayam Yoga Samsiddhah means he himself has to gain knowledge. Yoga Samsiddhah here means the one who has done Karma Yoga Samsiddhah, and studied Vedanta. Sometimes we send representatives from our family. We send one person to attend class, one person to go and study Vedanta. That person will get knowledge, that person will get perspectives. If we want it ourselves, we will have to study. In Vivek Chudamani, one example is given. If somebody is carrying a load on the head and you feel tired, you can take that load and put on somebody else's head. But if you are hungry, nobody else can eat for us. Like that, this knowledge is Swayam Yoga Samsiddhah. I myself will have to study. In Hindi they say, bahut papad belne padte hai. Means you have to go through many hoops, many facets of our own personality we'll have to work with. Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhah. How much time it will take? Kalena Atmani Vindati. In due course of time. Bhagavan Krishna will never give answers where you will go and catch him. Say, Bhagavan, you said 2 months. I studied for 2 months, nothing is happening. He says, no, Kalena Atmani Vindati. It will take its own time, depending upon our effort and our commitment. Isn't it true with any knowledge? How much time does it take to master dance? Kalena Atmani Vindati. How much of preparation I am doing before the class and after the class, both. Before the dance class. How much am I preparing to go into? How much do I rehearse after? Same thing applies for Vedanta. any text we are studying, how much preparation is going before it, how much reflection is happening after it. That will decide how quick our journey is. Kalena Atmani Vindati. Atmani word has come to show that wherever there is ignorance, there alone knowledge has to take place. If ignorance is here, knowledge takes place in somebody else. That is not going to work. If ignorance is in my mind, my buddhi, knowledge also has to take place in my buddhi. Okay, that is this. Atma here doesn't mean Shuddha Chaitanya. Atma here means mind. Kalena Atmani Vindati. Next verse we have seen, but we'll just chant it for the sake of completeness. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyah jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhigacchati Shraddhavan Three inner qualities without which knowledge is very difficult to take place. Faith, Shraddha, single-pointed quest for this knowledge, Tatparata, and a disciplined life, Sanyatendriya. In tradition, if one of these things is lacking, teaching would not be given until that student works upon that thing. See, when they go to Gurukula, teacher would not directly start Vedanta on the first day. First few years is only preparation. First few years is only preparation to make sure that the student is fit for receiving this knowledge. If he feels his Indriya Sanyama is not right, means his mind is distracted, very easily gets caught up in problems. Even in Gurukula, very easily gets caught up in different things. Vedantic teaching would not be given. So he has to stay there, do seva, bring those qualities, and then receive this teaching. But if knowledge has already come, it is said it will not take root until these three things are there. Faith, single-pointed quest, and disciplined life. Next line is beautiful. Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. Having gained this knowledge, very quickly this sadhaka attains peace. Means we are not seeking knowledge for the sake of information. The result of knowledge is param shantim, supreme-most bliss, supreme-most calmness. What was the nature of knowledge? 18th verse. Karmani akarmayah pashyet, akarmani cha karmayah. Or yena sarvani bhutani drakshasi atmani athomayi. You will see all this creation in that consciousness. That knowledge one who has gained, for that sadhaka, there is supreme most bliss. Okay, so this verse we have seen, so we will not again go deeper into it. Now Bhagavan is very upset with one type of devotee. Who is that person? The one who doesn't have faith on one side, but at the same time keeps doubting. So Bhagavan says that sadhaka will face lot of difficulties. See the next verse. Ajñascha shraddadhanascha Samshayatma vinashyati. Nayam lokosti na paraha. Na sukham samshayatmanah. Ajñascha shraddadhanascha. Samshayatma vinashyati. Lokosti na paraha. Na sukham samshayatmanah. Ajñaha means one who is ignorant of the supreme-most truth. Now, many people could be ignorant of the supreme truth. He has another quality along with it, ashraddadhanascha, doesn't have faith. You tell him to come to Bhagavad Geeta class, tell him to study Upanishads. You say, what is Upanishad? Just a book. I have read it several times, did not find anything meaningful inside. Ashraddadhana. If this combination is there, this person will end up living a worldly life. Ajna and ashraddadhana. But along with that, if he has samshayatma, samshayatma means one who doubts this teaching and finds faults in this teaching. Bhagavan says, samshayatma vinashyati. That person perishes. Perishes means he loses out on a great opportunity to unfold from within. Perishing here doesn't mean physical perishing. Perishing means he deprives himself of a great opportunity to unfold. Somebody who is ignorant and lacks faith, not necessary that person has to be samshayatma. There are so many things which we don't connect with, right? We don't have faith in that thing. We just move away from that thing. But this person, he doesn't move away. He moves away. He doesn't move only away. He moves away and starts finding faults with that subject matter. That is the meaning of the word samshayatma, one who doubts this teaching. Means he feels Bhagavad Gita is full of inconsistencies. Bhagavad Gita is full of inconsistencies. All the problem that is coming in the society is because of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Don't be surprised if you hear these perspectives. They are very well there in society. That is the samshayatma. Bhagavan says that samshayatma perishes. What is his conditioned? Na ayam loka asti. He can't live happily even in this world. Na paraha, what to talk about hereafter. If he doesn't have faith to appreciate this fact that jiva continues after this body, that thought even will not come to that person. So in this world, doubt ate him up, stopped him from doing any kind of good actions, doing any kind of sadhana. What to talk about other worlds? Na ayam loka asti, na paraha, na sukham. Doesn't even have any happiness in life. Now you might wonder, how come no happiness in life? Because everybody's life has sorrow and happiness mixed. How can you say this samshayatma doesn't have any kind of happiness? Bhagavan Shankaracharya writes, Tatra api samshaya upapattehe. Means even when some good thing is happening to him, there also he doubts. Means if somebody comes and gives him something, his mind starts thinking, why is this person giving me this? Maybe he wants something. Somebody smiles at him. Why is he smiling? Generally never smiles. Today he smiled. That is the samshayatma. Even if sukham comes to him, somebody wants to give him joy, there also he has a doubt. Means his personality has become such that wherever he sees, he fails to appreciate goodness. It is said in the life of Aurangzeb, he was somebody who did several things which you can't imagine. Finished his brother, put his father in prison. Once Shivaji Maharaj was called to Aurangzeb, and when he met him, Aurangzeb says, "You are like my brother." It is a Shivaji Maharaj says, "That's dangerous then." Because I know what you have done to your brothers. And it is said, on the last day of Aurangzeb, he had to die of thirst. Because he was such a samshayatma, he would not put anything in his mouth unless somebody tastes it. See, somebody who has lived that kind of a life, always deceiving people, always plotting something, that person can never have Shraddha. So any food he would eat, he didn't have the Chakora bird of Kenopanishad. Somebody else had to eat first, then he would eat. Food is okay, even medicine. Imagine somebody who doesn't have any disease, that person has to taste first, then he will eat. Like that, he wanted water on that last day, and there was nobody around. When he was in his last few days, he had to die of thirst. The main thing here is samshayatma vinashyati. Bhagavan has given a great ability, and that is to trust in goodness of others. Minus this, he says that journey becomes very difficult. Nayam lokosti na paraha na sukham samshayatmanah. Now Bhagavan says, if we have to make this knowledge work in our life, there are three things we have to pay attention to. Okay? Three important things to make this knowledge work in our life that he mentions in 41st verse. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam nibadhanti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, karmani na nibadhanti. Whatever things you are doing in your life, they will not come and bind you. Means knowledge will work and it will show its result. Oh, it will show its result? What should I do? To whom or in whom does knowledge show result? Yoga sanyasta karmanam. One who has heard the nature of truth and he has given up karma on the strength of knowledge. Which verse is this? 18th verse. That verse, all of you can mark, that is the prana of 4th chapter. 4:18. Karmani akarmaya pashet, akarmani cha karmaya. In the midst of all action, on the strength of knowledge, he is able to see that actionless self. It is just like seeing a beautiful sunrise, but on the strength of knowledge, understanding that sun doesn't rise, sun doesn't set. This is one of the classical examples to show what? Knowledge can override perception. It is not necessary that only what we perceive, that alone we will accept as true. Action can be happening if somebody has understood the nature of actionless self and knows how it is the substratum of even this ahankara, On the strength of that, he is able to let go of this karma and doesn't get caught up in it, doesn't get carried away by it. That person gets the title Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, the one who has removed karma through knowledge. Then second thing he has done is Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam. He has removed all doubts which might obstruct this knowledge. In the moment you say, see the actionless self in and through all actions, the question should come, how? How am I supposed to see actionless self in the midst of all actions? Is self something that I can see? And you said this whole world will appear in that consciousness. Drakshase Atmani, Athomayi. Just like you see the whole dream in the dreamer, like that this whole world will be seen in that consciousness. What do you mean by that? None of these doubts he has. The only way to remove doubts is to do satsang for a long time. Our reflection also is needed. But Kakabhushundi ji tells Garudji, if you have many doubts about nature of Bhagavan Rama, don't worry. Bahuta kala satsanga. Do satsang for a long time. All these perspectives will become clear. The etymology of the word samshaya. Anybody remembers? This we had discussed in Manisha Panchakam, those who came to Thanksgiving camp. Huh? Very good. Samyak shete jnanam. That which puts knowledge to sleep, that is samshaya. Samshaya, right? Samyak shete jnanam iti samshayam. If a doubt comes, whatever knowledge is there, that knowledge as though is unavailable to me. I cannot take a conclusive step forward if my knowledge is ridden by doubts. Even in the seat of meditation, if I have doubts about what am I meditating upon, we will sit, but mind will not settle anywhere. So those doubts are removed through Shravanam. The simplest example for this doubt putting knowledge to sleep is airport terminals. When you hear announcements, they say your flight is 30B. Now you wonder, is it 13B or 30B? Now you heard it, whatever was said you heard. But if that doubt is there, 13 or 30, neither can you go to 13, nor can you go to 30. First you'll have to go and see where it is, the panel they have, then you have to see, then only you can go forward. Same thing it is. Doubt, if it comes, it cannot help us, or it will make us not take one step forward. If we get doubt about, does sadhana work? I'm chanting all these stotrams, doing all japa. Does it even work? Doubt about, does Brahman even exist? Or is this all some kind of mastermind of our rishis? They just want us to stay busy. He says none of these doubts should come. We should resolve them on the strength of Shravanam and our own reflection. If you do it only on our own reflection, we don't have sufficient data to churn. Right? So we should first hold on to scriptures, then keep reflecting and remove these doubts. 2 preparations. The first one was Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam. Let go of this doership on the strength of knowledge. Second is remove all doubts, either about karma, about dharma, about Brahma. All doubt should be removed. Third preparation, he says Atmavantam. Atmavantam means one who is not inadvertent. One who doesn't miss his regular routine, doesn't miss Swadhyaya, study of scriptures, and doesn't get carried away by things in this world. Pramada means that, huh? Now, more we appreciate this, more we will seek Bhagavan's grace. Because no matter how hard we try, somewhere or the other, pramada creeps in. But somebody who can diligently work towards it. That is why in the beginning of the class, we were reflecting on this. Imperfection is never a problem. What becomes a problem is justification of imperfection. The moment we say, oh, it is okay to be inadvertent, why do you suppress all the time? Why are you telling your mind to keep doing these things? You see, that is more of a problem than having some limitations. So, apramatta word here is one who is striving very hard. Striving very hard. Apramattah karmani na nibadhanti. To that person, karmas don't come and bind him. Okay. Therefore, Bhagavan concludes, Tasmad ajnana sambhutam Hrutstham jnanasinatmanah Chitvainam samshayam yogam Atishto tishtha bharata Tasmad ajnana sambhutam Hrutstham jnanasinatmanah Chitvainam samshayam Atishto tishtha bharata. Atishtha. Atishtha means be rooted in karma yoga. Be rooted in karma yoga. Uttishta bharata. Get up and fight this war. Atishtha means be seated in karma yoga. Uttishta means get up and fight the war. Bhagavan Krishna's terms are also paradoxical. He says, sit, get up. Sit in karma yoga and get up from this tamas. Get up from these doubts about running away from this war. Having doubts about whether this is the right thing to do or not to do. How will you reach this point? When you cut asunder all doubts with the sword of knowledge. Samshayam jnana asina chitva. Samshayam means doubts. All doubts, yes, cut asunder through the sword of knowledge. Asi means a sword. Jnana asi means sword of knowledge. Through that, all doubts are removed. How do these doubts arise? Ajnana sambhutam samshayam. They arise because of ignorance. If you don't know something clearly, you will get confused very easily. Sometimes freeway, either it is north or south. Right? If you don't know which direction you are going, you will neither go north nor south. In between you will stop. Then you have to take course correction and go. But somebody who has clear knowledge, that person will not get deluded easily. So he says, this ajnana sambhutam, samshayam, cut asunder that thing with the sword of knowledge. Where does this samshaya live? Hrutstham. It lives in the mind. lives in the mind, doesn't live outside anywhere, seated right here. That samshaya we should remove through knowledge. Samshaya at all levels. At karma level, what I should do in life, what I should not do. Dharma level, what is right and what is not right. And Brahma also. What is consciousness, what is a self, what is not self. In all those things, Bhagavan says, don't have any doubts. If you started with doubts, it's okay. But if you end your journey with doubt, what have you studied in between? It's not a compliment to a teacher. Imagine 700 verses Arjuna listened and he said, Bhagavan, you are most wonderful teacher. Jagat Guru Bhagavan Krishna you are, your words are so powerful. But whatever question I had, same question I have after 700 verses. He says the insignia of teaching is, we should be confidently able to say, all my doubts have gone. This is what Arjuna says, right? Nashto mohaha smritir labdha. I don't have any doubts about different facets of my life. Important thing here is, Vedanta doesn't always discuss about Brahma and Atma and Anatma. There are several layers to it, and everything should be holistically understood. Okay. In 5 minutes, we'll quickly see 4th chapter in a summary. All our speakers are working very hard, I heard, preparing all their points to do the same recap in an elaborate way next session. So next session will be only recaps. Okay, so all of you can come. You can ask them questions also. Okay, on their presentation. It will be nice, good discussion. So that we'll do next session. But now let us just see the key ideas. What was the first topic Bhagavan discussed in 4th chapter? Brahma Vidya Stuti. He started praising this knowledge. Whatever we praise, we are inspired to go and know. He said this knowledge was given to Lord's Son. Then it came all the way to great rishis. And now it has come to you, so it's a time-tested knowledge. I am giving it to you because you are my friend and you are also devoted to me. Then Arjuna says, Bhagavan, you were born recently. Sun God was born so long ago. How come you gave this knowledge to Sun? Then Bhagavan elaborately describes the topic of avatar. He says, Arjuna, you were born several times, but you don't remember what happened before. You were born because of karma, but my birth is very divine. I am not pushed into this world because of karma. I take avatar to accomplish certain things, to establish dharma. That is why I take avatar. So we saw different facets of avatar. What are the different types of avatar? Everything we saw. But culmination of avatar is the one who understands nature of Bhagavan as his own self. That person is liberated. Bhakti Marga culminates in Jnanam. Through Leelas of the Lord, we purify our mind. By knowing essential nature of the Lord, one attains moksha. So this point Bhagavan elaborated and he said, don't think that only few people are trying this knowledge now. Many have walked this path in the past. Many have reached me also. If you want it, you can walk. I don't force anybody. That is one of Bhagavan's nature. He doesn't interfere with our life. In whatever way we present ourselves to the Lord, in that way He blesses us. If we ask something of this world, He will bless us with that thing of this world. But if we ask for the Lord himself, he says, I give myself to him. But no compulsion. He doesn't force anybody to ask anything in any way. And Bhagavan says, really speaking, everybody is seeking me only. Because what we are seeking is happiness. Happiness is nature of Bhagavan, nature of consciousness. And very quickly he has planted disappointments in sense objects. Whoever runs after them, either today or tomorrow, their taste has to evolve. So Bhagavan says, don't get too worried about the world. Why don't we make everybody into Vedanta sadhaka? You know, one Mahatma Ji would say to all spiritual seekers, आप लोग अपना उद्धार कीजिए, जगत उद्धार के लिए शिवजी है. First time I heard it, it was such a deep statement, and he added on top of it, अगर आप अपना उद्धार नहीं करोगे, जगत उद्धार कैसे करोगे? In those who are innocent in Hindi, he says, lift yourself first. To lift the world, Bhagwan Shiva is there. If we are unable to lift ourselves, how can we lift somebody else? So that is the message there. Bhagwan says, don't worry about others' journey. Their journey I am taking care. Then somebody said, if everybody has to seek you only, why don't people seek you? Why doesn't everybody seek? Then Bhagwan said, in Manushya Loka, results born out of karma are very quick. To do sadhana, to seek something beyond karma, it needs a special mindset. Otherwise, we are happy with our day-to-day life. Everyday routine is going so well. So then Bhagwan entered the topic of 4 varnas. If we can tune our mind, if we can tune our external work with these gunas, our inner aptitude, then we can get quick results. That was the connection, how we entered the topic of gunas. We need quick results. People are into quick results. That is okay. But we can positively use that fact also. Tune your outer work with inner mindset. That sadhaka can unfold from within. We don't have to change varna. Within whatever varna we are, we can excel, increase sattva guna, and become fit for Vedanta. Okay, that topic was discussed. Then Bhagwan said, the main goal of all these karmas, all this varnashrama dharma, is 4.18. 18th verse of 4th chapter, to see that actionless self amidst all actions. That is the main goal. One who has accomplished it, that person has attained the purpose of human birth. Then Bhagwan went into the nature of such a jnani. One jnani who is in pravritti, very heavily engaged in the world. Another man of realization, very withdrawn, doesn't come out much. What is their lifestyle? What is their inner mindset? Both Bhagwan described. Then he came to the verse of Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, 24th verse. Just like on a canvas, if you have one person doing yajna, a painting of somebody doing yajna, there is fire, yajna kunda also, there is ladle, oblation, everything is there on that painting. But no matter where you touch, you are interacting with that canvas alone. Like that, on the canvas of consciousness, there is a doer, there are objects, and different actions that this person is doing. But in and through every action, in and through every ingredient of that yajna, he recognizes that substratum which is consciousness. This was that verse, Brahmarpanam. Then Bhagwan went on to elaborate 13 different types of yajnas. How we can discipline our mind such that impurities are removed, and we don't live an indulgent tamasic life. Everybody with me so far, right? All these topics, I'm not elaborating, but just an outline of what we discussed. Then he concluded the topic of yajna by saying, all these yajnas culminate in knowledge. Moksha is not a result of any action. It has to be known, there is no doing involved. How do we get this knowledge? He mentioned preparations, outer preparation and inner preparation. Then the final part of 4th chapter was glory of knowledge. He started by glorifying knowledge, concludes by glorifying knowledge. With this, our 4th chapter is concluded. Very beautiful chapter. The way in which ideas are laid out, very unique. Om Tatsaditi Srimad Bhagavad Geetasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Chaturthodhyayah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.